Hello, folks. I thought I'd do another response to one of Phil's videos, one of his little shorts for his podcast. And this time, this one's entitled Why Companies Do Not Want YouTubers to Review Their Guitars. Of course, that's interesting to me. I'm a YouTuber. I've reviewed tons of guitars. I've reviewed very few. Gosh, I can count them on one hand. They were actually sent for review. Most of them I've purchased. So I'm reviewing them from the standpoint of a buyer that's invested money in it, rather than somebody who's just receiving tons of free guitars. So, yeah, of course that's interesting to me. And the main reason given in the short was that it's not that companies want to avoid negative reviews. It's that they don't want their guitars to be associated with social media guitars, is how Phil put it. You know the brands that are you only ever see on social media, you only ever see on YouTube. You have to buy direct or go to a catalog to get them. They're not like mass production guitars. They are, flash in the pan models and makes that could be around for a while and disappear. Your Bad Cats, your IYVs, your Groats, your Glaries, those kinds of things. Some of them stick around for a while. Some of them, put out a few runs and then sort of disappear. Cozart, things like that. Over here, Fazley, all the Gear for Music brands like Heartwood, Sub-Zero, stuff like that. It's all fairly quick production stuff. And a company that is trying to be a bit more boutiquey or taken more seriously may not want their instruments to be lumped in rather with all of those brands that I've just mentioned and the like. I also think there's another reason that didn't get touched on in that particular video, and I'll give you an analogy. A few years ago, probably about 12 years ago now, I helped start a publishing press. It's still going, and I still have some affiliation to it. So it was successful as a small press. And when we started putting out books, we just got absolutely slammed with requests from reviewers and readers for review copies. We also got hundreds of requests from people who had little book review websites, chat sites, YouTube pages, wanting free merchandise. We couldn't, give all those people our books because it would have put us immediately out of business. And actually, at the time, I was affiliated with 2 or 3 different printing presses from my former job as a writing and literature professor. And I know full well that a lot of people that started their own publishing presses went out of business for that very reason. They thought to get their books noticed, to get their productions sort of acknowledged by the general reading public, they had to spray free copies out in all directions so that they could get ahead of steam for that particular product, and then the sales would somehow catch up with the losses that you had giving away those free copies. However, if you start doing that, you will end up giving away almost everything that you produce, because there are literally the review the spectrum of online reviews is absolutely saturated, and it's exactly the same in the guitar/instrument world. I mean, for every Phil McNight, for every Guitar Max, for every Crimson Guitars, Andertons, Rob Chapman, there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of smaller channels. and there are literally thousands of people buying and reviewing and doing open boxes, demonstrations, take aparts, breakdowns, you name it. It is so saturated now. There are literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of channels, and a lot of the people that run these channels are kind of working it out that, I might get more guitars to review if I actually actively go and chase them down, if I actually approach some of these companies, tell them about my channel. Maybe they'll offer me, a guitar or an amp or something like that. Some of them are very successful. Some of the bigger channels that you watch, they don't buy any of their guitars. They're all provided for. Obviously some of them are financed by financiers, or they have established advertising deals that basically run their channels to where they can do what they want. And some of the smaller channels they grovel around and see what they can get. So if you imagine you're an up-and-coming guitar brand and you're just getting the word out, and there's a little bit of a flame developing around your product, you're going to get smashed by this horde of amateur online reviewers, plus all the professional ones, plus all the the big corporations, the dealers and things like that. So a lot of these sites, a lot of these smaller guitar sites, as Phil explains in his video, when he went to inquire about their products, they just basically wrote back to him and said, "We don't do social media. We just don't do it." And he put it down to them not being wanting to be affiliated with the social media type instrument. However, I think it's just pure, they can't afford it. They can't afford to give or send products out to everyone who is like Phil McNight or some of the other guys for a review guitar. You just, when you start out a company, you're working, very close to the margins, and you can't, you might be able to, say, in a run of 100 guitars, be able to give 5 away. Maybe you can justify that in your pricing. You can recoup that cost. However, you're not going to give away 20 of every 100 made, or 300 of every 1,000 made. It's just, companies cannot do this until they're really, really well established. So I think this is part of the sort of splashback from some of these companies. The line, "We don't do social media." I've had companies tell this to me in person as well. "Sorry, we don't do YouTube." And then it's a simple answer that cuts out all the YouTubers that are looking for review guitars. It's just a blank statement. We bypass that. We do our own marketing. We have our own people, possibly our own YouTube channel, or we select 5 we like and we do them, and the rest of them we tell them we don't do YouTube. And if you look at it from that perspective, it sort of makes some sort of sense, doesn't it? You just cannot blanket, give everybody review copy guitars. You can't make deals with every single YouTuber out there. It's just not possible. And if you decide to set up some relationships, you're probably going to pick 3, 4, 5 of the top ones that are going to get you loads and loads and loads of views, and you're probably going to have some sort of statement that cuts out all of the smaller ones, because it's just not worth the price of a single guitar and the chance of a bad review to send those out. And there are some companies that probably don't do any of them. They go through other channels to get the word out, and they don't, or they rely on the battalion of YouTubers that are willing to buy these guitars and test them out, and that's good enough for them. Why give them away if there are enough people willing to buy them? And you all know these channels. These are the smaller channels that we watch all the time. We can probably name 10 or 20 of them right off the top of our heads, where the people actually buy the guitars. Whether they find a way to budget their channel through other revenue, or if they just have the means to be able to speculate in the market, or they have the skill to fix up and sell on guitars and keep their channel afloat that way, which I suppose that last example would be the closest to my experience. There's enough of those people to sustain a lot of these smaller market guitars to where they don't have to give tons away or make these elaborate deals with big channels. So, this is just something that I want to put out there. I actually talked to a couple of different brands that I did reviews on. I didn't actually contact them for the purpose of getting a free guitar. I just mentioned while I was buying one that I had a YouTube channel. I was looking forward to reviewing the guitar. And I started a conversation with a particular one that I had probably 4 or 5 guitars from. And they said that they just avoided the whole YouTube, Facebook, review industry. If people wanted to buy and try their guitars, they welcome those reviews, but they didn't actually seek out sponsorships or anything like that. They didn't find it worthwhile or sustainable financially to do that, which is fair enough. That was an explanation that sort of helped me understand what it's like for some smaller market companies, and it was a consideration when watching this video that I felt could get a little bit more airtime. What do you think? I think there are probably various reasons why some of these brands don't make deals with social media vloggers and YouTubers, but I think this is probably the biggest one, is just cost effectiveness. A lot of them just get by on the reviews from people who are willing to purchase the instruments and don't let it go any further than that until they reach a certain target with sales or something like that. Anyway, it's an interesting topic. Just wonder what your thoughts might be. All right, folks, take care.